going for the
food shop.
Science sisters, they're here to talk.
I call these the science sisters. I'll be here all week.
Things that you may know nothing at
Tell
all.
them you have no ambition and no plan. What is happiness?
Oh yeah, she's your home.
Let's not be crying.
Science sisters, let's start the show.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Science Sisters. I'm your host, Iris van Zelst, and today I'm joined by Tamarah King, who is a postdoc at Oxford University. Hello, Tamarah!
Hi!
The topic for today is postdocs. Postdoc life, that very phase in your academic career that you think is better when you're a PhD and turns out to be worse.
They do pay you slightly more.
Depends on where you move from and to, because I took a pay cut.
Oh my God. Isn't that perfect analogy? Oh my God.
And I will take another pay cut when I go to Germany. I've been promoted.
Oh my God. That's postdoc life.
Yeah, so highly recommend it.
Yeah.
How is your postdoc going?
I mean, I started my postdoc like a week into lockdown in the UK.
Which is great timing.
Great timing. Arrived a week before lockdown. Started my postdoc a week into lockdown.
Even better.
Have only done my postdoc from my bedroom. So it does beg the question about why I physically had to be here rather than just staying in Melbourne.
In hindsight, maybe
In
not.
hindsight. Yeah, it's confusing. They expect me to know a lot of things that I don't know.
I think you get better at pretending once you get further in your academic career.
I think I'm getting better at just telling them that I don't know those things.
Maybe that's better.
Yeah.
So, since you've been working from your bedroom,
Mm-hmm.
do you actually feel like you're a postdoc at Oxford?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great! Well,
That's it to be done. It was a weird transition because when I started work here from my bedroom, I was doing the exact same things that I did in my PhD, right? Like I was researching the same things. My day looked the same as what it did in my PhD. So I was like, what has changed? Now
your bedroom.
My bedroom has changed. Yeah, it was very difficult. And for a long time, it also took me a while to justify the fact that they were paying me as a postdoc to do the same thing as I did as a PhD. And it wasn't until a good 6 months to a year in that I realized, as someone with 10 years of education, they could be paying me a lot more. And as a PhD student, I probably should have been earning quite a bit more for what I was doing. It doesn't really get better for a long time.
If ever.
If ever, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's so weird to think that we are so highly educated, we're so qualified for doing what we're doing. You often don't feel that way.
If ever.
Ever. But realistically, we're very qualified.
Yeah.
And at no point do we ever get paid for that sort of expertise that we have.
I mean, apparently once you reach the professor,
Yeah.
which is near impossible.
It doesn't happen.
You can always just leave academia, right? And
Oh,
then
yeah.
start earning. So, that's an option. That also frees up more jobs in the ladder.
Yeah.
So that one person can become a professor.
I think about all of my friends who got their PhDs and then left academia. And they lived such
Happy lives.
happy lives.
Yeah. They're actually enjoying their lives.
Yeah, they're not filled with self-doubt, crippling sort of, am I doing the right thing? Do I know anything?
They usually have...
They take holidays.
Yes.
And they take a holiday.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're on holiday right now.
Yeah.
How's that going?
Well, great. It's not like I'm meeting my colleagues and working on an outreach project. And usually they live in the place where they want to live. And they have a network there. They have family, friends, they know people.
Sounds dreamy.
Sounds impossible. I mean, I know it's a choice I've made.
Right.
But also, I would like to
like that.
settle and not move country every
Yeah. Lots of people actively trying to work academia into a better, more suitable workplace. And I sometimes just get overwhelmed with this idea that how are you going to do that? How can you possibly make it better?
It's very difficult to change the system as an individual. I mean, in a way, this is kind of my contribution.
Right. And I love that.
To challenge the way scientists are supposed to behave, or like the stereotypical portrayal of you should not sing songs with weird lyrics.
You should not have personalities.
Yeah, no.
No. Cut that out.
In fact, you shouldn't be a woman.
No, definitely not. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
You shouldn't have children.
Oh my god, yeah.
Oh my god. Do you have a family? The difficulty in making a choice, particularly when you get to postdoc level and you're sort of thinking, am I going to really actively pursue this career in academia?
Yeah.
Despite all the difficulties? Or is it time to make a choice to move away?
So did you consciously make the choice to try and pursue a career in academia and be a postdoc and move countries? And...
I didn't. I did and I didn't.
Right.
And this is a terrible story because this is not a typical story.
Yes.
I was maybe 6 months away from my PhD scholarship expiring, so I knew I had to get my thesis finished. And I saw on Twitter, a person that I followed on Twitter, who worked at Oxford Uni as a postdoc, who I knew did similar work to what I kind of wanted to do, said that his position was becoming available.
Oh.
And I was like, well, maybe I'll apply for it. Like, I'm never going to get this job. But it'd be nice for these people to know my name, right? If I apply for it, maybe they'll look into me, my work, and maybe they'll get to know me, and maybe that'll open up opportunities for other jobs.
Smart.
And you kind of have to play that game, right?
Yeah. Also, it's a good experience to apply.
Yeah. I hadn't actively chosen to become a postdoc at that point. A lot of my friends had left academia and were living these really good-looking lives outside of academia. But I kind of also knew that all of my female friends had left academia and all my male friends had stayed in academia. And I was like, well, I feel some responsibility to push forwards this, right? I think that I have the stamina to put up with this, so I will try. So I applied for this job, and in the interview for this job, I remember them asking me what was like my 5-year plan. And being me and being relatively awkward and not particularly prepared for anything, I believe that I said something along the lines of, I don't have a 5-year plan. I feel like it's impossible to have a 5-year plan in academia because everything is so reliant on luck and funding. So I've never bothered to make a 5-year plan, but my plan is to find a good postdoc working with researchers who are doing research that I really enjoy and who I get along with. And I think that this job fits that bill, which is why I would like to work with you. And as long as I am employed and can have employment that is in that sort of research I want to do with people I want to work with, I'll stay in academia. And once it becomes too difficult to find that, I'll leave. And they were like, okay. Cool. And at the end of the interview, I left it and I sat down and I was like, why did I tell Oxford Uni that I have no sort of ambition? I think they used the words like, what are your ambitions? Do you want to become a professor? And I was like, not really, unless I can. Realistically, in academia, that's quite difficult.
It is.
So why would I be, if I'm pragmatic about it, that's not going to happen. But while I can have a job, great.
That sounds like a great job interview.
Right. And they gave me that job.
So there's
There's an interview tip. Tell them you have no ambition and no plan.
I mean, it is a fresh take on things. And it is also nice to be honest.
Yeah.
And very transparent about this.
Yeah, but I think I fell into this unicorn postdoc position where maybe I've never asked them, and if my employees see this, feel free to tell me. I've often wondered if they employed me because I had a personality that agreed with the team. And that's a unicorn postdoc. Academia, as far as I can tell, looks at H indexes and all of these metrics, how many papers you have, all these things. Like, I did happen to have quite a few papers out of my PhD. I think that probably looks good. But also, I fit really well in the personality of the group, which perhaps me telling them I have no ambition and then trying to cover that and backtrack on that in an interview. What have I done? Maybe they saw my personality shine through.
We need that person in our team.
Yeah.
She'd be fun.
She's honest.
If you call that a unicorn postdoc job,
Yeah.
I think the one at DLR is also certainly one of those.
Yeah.
Because I don't know much about Venus. I have no track record on Venus or even global Earth stuff, let alone the atmosphere part of the project. I think they saw my enthusiasm. I was like, I would really love to work on this. I don't know if I can, but I'd love to give it a shot, please. And then the next day I got the call and I was like, surely not.
Right. My call came like an hour after my interview.
Yeah, it was really fast.
It was really fast. It's incredible feeling to have a postdoc that you think maybe that's why you're in that postdoc, which is wonderful. But also it doesn't stop the imposter syndrome.
If anything, makes it worse.
Right.
Because you don't think, well, at least I don't think you're hired because you can do.
Yeah.
But you still should be able to do those things at the end.
Yeah.
And then you're just like, okay, so I'm just here for fun?
Yeah, but also realistically, logically, I I know that as a PhD trained person, like the PhD trains you to be a researcher. So they know that, and anybody in research knows that somebody who knows how to do research can pick things up.
Yeah.
We're trained to pick things up quite quickly.
Exactly.
To understand the processes involved with the data collection, analysis, interpretation. All of that sort of stuff is sort of formulaic, except the content changes.
Yeah.
But knowing that logically,
It doesn't make
it
you
doesn't
feel
make
it.
you feel any better. I wrote a great article about, maybe it was a Twitter thread. What do I think about it? We're trained to research.
Peer-reviewed article. Very critical in what I read on
That was a headline.
So someone tweeted something.
Someone tweeted something that I thought was great. But it was about how much luck is involved in getting a professorship,
Yes.
right? Like, people being very honest about how they ended up in their professorships.
Yeah, and especially if you want a professorship in a certain place or
Oh,
a permanent
yeah.
position, you just need to be lucky that a person retires at
Right.
the time that you are at the point where you could
Yeah.
take over that person.
Yeah, and then the next step is also a little dash of nepotism, because you need to know people in that place.
Yeah, you need to
And-
somehow have a network.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
the network and the luck are
Yeah.
terrifying. And particularly when I prefer academia to be a meritocracy. And then I got to this position because I knew people and I was lucky.
I don't know how to not have it that way.
Yeah.
Because also from an employer's perspective, I can see why it makes sense if you already know someone and you know that they're good
Yeah.
and you know you would like to work with them, and you think they would fit in the team.
Mm-hmm.
It makes sense to hire them rather than someone that's more of a risk of whether or not you would get along.
Totally. Particularly if your funding is limited and you need to get this work done because there are deadlines.
So do you get your work done?
No. But I think I do. It's just that my expectations are set to here for myself. And I don't know really what my employees' expectations are set for me because they're also very busy. We all get as much done as we possibly can, but we all expect that we're going to do a lot more than is actually physically possible. I will stay in academia for as long as it makes me happy. Happy enough.
Should we talk about that?
What is happiness?
It's overrated, isn't it?
If at any point somebody doesn't appreciate my honesty, if an employee doesn't appreciate that, then I probably don't want to be working for them.
Yeah.
But at the same time, say I want to be able to go back to Australia and work in academia there and work in the city that I want to work in.
Exactly.
There are limited academic institutes
Yeah.
in Australia, let alone in the cities that I want to live in. You don't really have a choice.
Exactly. Yeah. Then the choice becomes: do you stay in academia and do you accept those things, or
Yeah.
are you out?
It's tricky and
It is tricky.
uncomfortable. I'm not going to go in there. In case people... I was
Yeah.
going to say, we come from a very small community in Melbourne, and if I tell anecdotes, my friends will know that they've been named in those anecdotes.
We can have this discussion later when the
Later.
camera's on. I also had a thought about someone. I was like, oh, I need to tell you that. I should not put that online because the people will know. And they are influential people.
Right. This is the problem.
I still want to be employable and
Yeah.
want people to hire me. Yeah. Keep the relationships good.
Yeah. Yeah, we can be honest. To a certain
Yeah.
point. This is the problem with, sexual discrimination cases. There are whisper networks, but it's very hard to call people out and have any actual repercussions because everyone knows everyone and everyone's worked with everybody.
And not only sexual discrimination, also just plain sexual harassment. Like,
Yeah.
that's the thing that I had in the video that shocked me, that a professor said, okay, if you're going there, just make sure you're never with that person.
Yeah.
And I thought, why is it normal that someone has to warn me about this? Why is this person still there? It doesn't make any sense.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
Anyway, we've gone down a very dark path.
Yes.
This
is not
This
entertaining.
is not entertaining. Shall I bring out my boobs again?
Yeah.
Cut that out. I want to be a serious scientist. Can I tell an anecdote?
Yeah.
Before I was paid as a postdoc here, I've literally never been employed as a geologist. I've only ever been employed as an admin assistant.
I mean,
Or a sandwich artist at Subway.
if it works.
Yeah, this is my first job being paid as a geologist.
I mean, congratulations.
Thank you very much. Anyway, so I know administrative because I'm very good at administrative work. Probably better than I am at research.
But, once you become a professor, that'll be the most important thing. So you're on your way
I
there.
really planned this.
Yes. You should have said that during the Oxford interview. Well, actually.
life has been leading to being a professor, never doing any research.
Exactly, because then finally you can get rid of all the research and I can just do my admin in Excel and I'll finally be happy.
But you know, sometimes you do research and you're like, hey, that's a new thing. And that feels really good.
Maybe you have that more often.
No.
We like this.
We've
been
been this.
brainwashed into thinking that this makes us happy.
Every day I sit at my desk and wonder what I'm contributing to the world and whether I know anything and why on earth I'm employed when there are so many more competent people.
Yeah, that definitely. This is why I almost didn't apply for DLR, because I knew I had this whole list, like at least the top 5 of people that was saying they are looking for a job, they are so much better qualified, they'd be great, they'd fit so well in the team. I was on the brink of emailing them with like, are you applying? Because if you do, like, I won't bother because you're perfect. And then, you know, I heard this feminist voice like, women always do that, just apply. Yeah. What can you lose? And then somehow, I'm assuming the others didn't apply because I got a job.
I often wonder whether anyone else applied for this Oxford job because how did I end up getting it?
Yeah. Because that is something you never talk about, but would be interesting. Yeah. Because once you have the job, maybe it wouldn't be so weird to ask your employer, but I'd be way too scared to do it.
I'm too scared to do it. Yeah. And I get along with my employer. Yeah. I'm sure he would tell me.
Yeah, me too.
But I'm actually too scared to know.
Yeah, to be like, well, you were our only option, so we needed to have someone.
Right.
So we just
Nobody else applied to a job at Oxford. Logically, I know that's dumb.
Also, references. You never see the references people write. So you actually don't know if they're positive or negative. You just assume they're positive. Yeah. But then if they're positive, it'd be nice to get that compliment.
Right.
Because I feel incompetent as it is.
But also, I would love to know if they gave me, like, critical critique. That'd be kind of handy to know, too.
Yeah.
So I applied for the Oxford job, assuming I wouldn't get it, because who assumes that they're going to get a job at Oxford? I mean... And I did the same as you. I was like, well, I'm not going to get the job. There are more qualified people, and I will just apply in the hopes that they remember my name. That was literally the only thing that I was thinking. Then when I got an interview, I couldn't believe it. It's like, whoa, I'm getting to meet these people. It was still on Zoom. I was still in Australia.
Don't get ahead of yourself.
Yeah. But at least they will know my face and my name. This is incredible. Then when they offered me the job, I honestly thought they'd made a mistake.
Yeah. I mean, this is literally how I went about getting my PhD. I thought it'd be great that they know my name. Yeah. And then, you know, once a future opportunity comes up and I've had some more credits to my name, you know, maybe. Yeah. And then I got it and I was like, what?
And this is a lesson to all the women out there. Just apply.
Yeah, just apply. Yeah, same for DLR.
Then you're going to be racked with questions about whether you're right for the job.
Yeah. It's not only positives.
Yeah.
You'll feel very insecure throughout that entire job.
Yeah.
But you will have that job.
That's great. Do the men who we work with, are the male postdocs, racked with all these questions about whether they deserve the jobs?
I should probably interview a male guest.
That'd be great.
Because I'd love to know. Yeah.
If you're a therapist,
we'd be fascinating.
Get in touch.
Is there any grand conclusion we want to attach to this?
Oh man. I feel like life as a postdoc, life as a researcher, just continually, we put people on a pedestal. When you're an undergrad, you're like, the PhDs know so much. When you're a PhD, you're like, the postdocs and the professor know so much. And nobody knows so much.
Nobody knows anything.
Yeah. Like, I'm literally no different to what I was as a PhD, but now I'm called a postdoc.
Yeah.
And I'm given more responsibilities to help other people. And that's fine, because I'm still at least a few years above them. But really, we're all just getting by.
And on that note...
We've been postdocs.
Very competent postdocs.
So competent.
Yeah, you'd be very hard-pressed to find more competent postdocs anywhere else, really.
Yeah. Okay, so all the jokes about postdocs doing all of the work, you know, like all the comics that are like, the postdocs are the grunt workers. I'm not doing that. Am I supposed to be doing that? I feel like I'm not doing that.
There are some resources in the description down below. There's also a link to Tamarah and her website. Yeah, if you've watched all the way to the end of this video, however long it may be, thank you very much. You know, consider liking, subscribing. I don't know if I'll keep this in because I find it very awkward.
Like and subscribe to see Iris's channel. Do it. Do it.
I will see you in the next episode. Bye! What is that?
I'm giving you options.
Did we fuck it up? Did we just...
Did we miss 20 minutes worth of recording?
Could be.
Yeah, but clearly I'm also weird for the camera.
Managerial...
Administrative. Wowie.
Well, that was...
Wowie. I am a serious scientist and I work at Oxford. I'm not sure what content has been generated.